Hello, welcome to today's true crime stream. This is the last day of the week, yes, but also this is the last stream of the week. And if you're new here, hi, I'm FEARSONA. You can call me Sona, and I'm your friendly neighborhood true crime VTuber here to give you full body chills. Time to crime. Obviously, not us. You guys abide by the law. No one should be committing crimes, and especially not the type of crime that I'm gonna talk about today. Especially not that, because today's case, for one, it's gonna be a roller coaster. For two, it's gonna be long, and it's a case of, well, we're gonna talk about mental health. We're gonna talk about misdirected anger, a lot of pent-up misdirected anger. We're gonna talk about the incel community and how it affected one particular person in a way that ended just tragically. It ended with a lot of deaths, and I mean a lot, and a lot of people getting hurt very seriously. And it didn't end in just one crime. There's gonna be a plot twist at the very end, so you guys stay tuned and stay with me to hear about it. So yeah, we're talking about a case of a certain individual who, over the years, posted multiple videos on YouTube, just expressing his anger with one particular group of people. He saw this one particular group of people as the source of his sadness, of his, life crumbling, of his loneliness. And he, over the years, over many, many videos, journals or vlogs, right? Over the years, he just kind of pent up this anger, and it exploded at one point. And it exploded in the worst way possible. Stay tuned. You meant stay tuned. Yes, stay tuned. Exactly, stay tuned. Okay, before we get to the case, I just wanted to tell you guys that I appreciate that you took the time out of your day to sit down with me and listen to the case. Special thanks to my moderators. You guys, the rest of you, please make sure that you behave in the chat. Don't give mods a hard time so that they can also enjoy the stream. And yeah, besides that, I was talking to my Patreon members yesterday, and I was talking to them about how the saga of my tooth continues, and now I think my dentist believes that it's a phantom pain and I'm not actually in pain, and she stopped trusting me, and she kind of like gradually loses faith in me, because every time I go to the dentist, like, oh, the previous night, let's say my tooth hurts, and I was talking about it yesterday, but every time my tooth hurts, it starts hurting, and I'm like, oh my god, okay, it hurts. Half of my face hurts, like I have to go to the dentist. And then I book an appointment the following day, and as if cursed, my tooth doesn't hurt the next day. So I go there like an idiot. I sit down, and she's asking me like, oh, does it hurt when you drink something cold or hot? No. Does it hurt when I press it? No. So why are you here? My tooth hurts. My tooth hurts. Help me. Yeah, this is the saga. This is the saga of my. Sorry, I had to like my. Why is my phone showing me weird? Why? I don't understand. Okay, well, whatever. But yeah, this is the saga of my tooth. For now, I think it's gotten to the point where my dentist really doesn't believe me, and she just kind of is trying to be polite. So she just says, "Oh, well, let's observe." And I'm like, "Oh, I don't need an X-ray. We don't need to do an X-ray." And she's like, "No." No, because, well, it doesn't hurt now. I'm like, yeah, but it hurt yesterday. Yeah, just it's a lot, like it's just going on, and I've given up. I'm just gonna, right now she told me to observe for the next month, because, well, I mean, I guess less than a month, because I have another appointment in May, to change like this, like temporary filling into a permanent filling. And yeah, at the time she's gonna be like, oh, well, she was like, let's observe how that tooth is doing, and if it's worse, then let's do an X-ray then. And I'm like, I bet. And the next day my tooth was hurting, so I bet that it's gonna happen right before the appointment. The day before the appointment, it's gonna hurt me, and then the day of the appointment I'll be like, damn it. And I can't lie. I don't want to lie to her, because I'm like, okay, well, I mean, maybe I should just say like, hey, it hurts, I would like to do an x-ray. I'm just being a doormat, and I'm just, yeah, I can't, I'm a doormat. I don't, yeah, I just agree. I'm like, okay, let's not do an x-ray, and let's not see what's happening there. Maybe the filling is hurting. No, it's a different tooth. So the tooth with the temporary filling is behind that tooth because it had an old filling, and she fixed that one last time. And then the tooth in front of it, it has like it was done like RCT years ago. And so it shouldn't hurt because it doesn't have any nerves, but it does. And I'm like, is that phantom pain? Am I going crazy? Should I get tested? But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all about it. Wait, you got an ad? Oh, I did turn it off though for the duration of the stream. Well, I'm so sorry about it. Okay, guys, I think we can jump to the case. Now we can jump to the case, and you guys make yourselves comfortable because this is gonna be long and it's gonna be a lot. There's gonna be a lot of videos. There's gonna be a lot of slides. And wait, let me try to turn it off. Actually, before we jump to, can I turn it off now? Like, is it okay? I think I can turn it off now. Okay, it should be fine. I tried turning it off and it should be okay now. Okay, although YouTube works in mysterious ways, so it might still pop an ad or two. I don't know. I have no idea. Like, I just turned it off. I switched it off. Because I thought I switched it off for the duration of the stream, and then I can switch on the ads later, but it was on, so I just turned it off. And but unfortunately, yeah, like YouTube might still like pop in some ads because YouTube is YouTube. Okay, are you guys ready? You are in for a ride. This case happened 10 years ago 11 years ago, 2014. And there's a lot of videos about it out there. I watched a couple of videos where definitely some of the videos cover, like I did notice that not every video covers not everything, but like, some videos cover one aspect of the case, or like they miss something, and I tried to compile everything, but there's like, I still didn't cover everything, just so you know. Like, there's much more detail, there's much more information about this case, and I just like, I skipped through some of the parts that I didn't think were like, they were kind of repetitive, because there was a lot of things happening in his life, in the perpetrator's life, and so I skipped through some of the parts. So you guys are more than welcome to read about this case later on. Just kind of sit down and spend some hours to read about it. It's a lot. Okay, so let's get right into it. On the evening of May 23rd, 2014, in a quiet apartment located within a seemingly peaceful community, a college town in California, a nightmare began to unfold. Inside that apartment, one man waited, calm, composed, and holding two knives, a 6-inch survival blade and a larger hunting knife, nearly the length of a ruler. Those were so huge knives, and he was just waiting for someone. So his target was a 20-year-old student named Wei-Han David Wong. When David walked through the door, he had no idea it would be his last time. A struggle broke out. David fought for his life, but the attacker was relentless. When it was over, David had been stabbed 15 times and slashed more than 20. His body was then dragged into a bedroom, dumped in the corner, and carelessly just covered with blankets, towels, and clothing, as if, hiding the evidence could somehow erase the brutality. And then moments later, the body, moments later, David's roommate arrived. So another person, James Hong, he was also 20. And just like David, he never really stood a chance. He was attacked. He was stabbed over 24 times. Even after he had already died, like the attacker just kept stabbing. His body was placed face down, half on top of David's. So they were just kind of stacked together, and then they were covered in the same makeshift way, right? So the attacker just covered them up as if trying to hide what just happened. Also, Fabian, thank you so much for being a member. 19 months. Oh shoot, 19 months. It's been over a year. Yeah. Okay, so you would think this is over, right? Like 2 roommates murdered. That's it, right? No. Because see, someone was very unlucky that day. Then there was a knock at the door, and a friend of the 2 came over for a visit. It was the 19-year-old George Chen. He walked in, he was unaware of the attacker being inside and the horrors waiting for him inside. He got attacked as well, and he fought harder than anyone could imagine, but in the end, he was stabbed a staggering 94 times. Guys, 94 times. Can you imagine the number of wounds on your body? Just like, I don't know, like holes in cheese. That's how you can essentially describe it. So his body was left in the bathroom while the killer attempted to clean the carnage with paper towels and bathroom rags. Like, the killer was panicking, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't wash the blood from the walls, and this was only the beginning. The perpetrator tried unsuccessfully to scrub the blood from the walls, the floors, and himself, but the mess was just too much. So he gave up, and he stripped to his clothes. He stripped to his clothes. The clothes were soaked in the evidence of what he'd just done. He tangled them up in his bed sheets and shoved them aside. And then, as if nothing had happened, he stepped into the shower. Minutes later, in clean clothes, he walked into a local Starbucks at exactly 7:38 p.m. He ordered a triple vanilla latte. To the barista and to everyone around him, he probably looked like any other college student winding down for the day. Calm, again, quiet, composed, just a regular guy. But as he sipped his drink, he sent a text to his mother telling her that, school ended and I'm gonna call you later. But he didn't plan on making that call because he wasn't done. He wasn't done for the day. This is the murder of his roommates and their friend. That was just the beginning. Later that evening, he returned to his apartment, and in the privacy of his room, he picked up his journal and wrote something incredibly terrifying, incredibly chilling. I had to tear some pages out because I feared my intentions would be discovered. I taped them back together as fast as I could. This is it. In 1 hour, I will have my revenge on this cruel world. I hate you all. Die. So the final line wasn't just a thought. It wasn't like a venting in your journal and you're not gonna do anything about it, right? Like, it was an actual promise, and the clock had already started ticking. For nearly an hour, we've followed the trail of calculated violence, disturbing behavior, and eerie calm. But now it is time to say this guy's name, the man behind it all, behind the murder of his roommates, his 2 roommates and their friend, and the murder of 3 more people and injuring dozens of others. The man responsible for this was Elliot Rodger. At just 22 years old, he was 22. What the hell happened to make this guy snap? Oh, we're gonna talk about it. Don't worry, this is where we cover everything. So at just 22 years old, Rodger launched one of the most disturbing and personal attacks in recent history, motivated not by ideology or politics, but by something far more warped and intimate, a deep resentment toward women and toward the world. Like, it wasn't just women, you know. Yes, this is how it started. He had a deep resentment of women, but then it's just shifted to literally everyone. He was just like, the world is against me, especially women, but the world is against me and I am gonna do something about it. So before we go to the worst part, before we continue, because his plans, the murder spree wasn't done, before we go to the worst part of this case, let's take a step back and look at Elliot's background and what ultimately led to the shocking events of May 23rd, 2014. Because to understand how Elliot became the man behind such a horrifying act, we have to go back to the beginning. There's a lot that happened, and I cannot believe who this guy was. You guys will not believe who this guy was, because who his parents were, and just it's crazy. I dug up some photos that are gonna be, you guys are gonna say, what the hell, he was there? I can't believe this. Yeah, like when I dug up some photos, I was just like, what, he was there? That's not real. Okay, so Elliot was born on July 24th, 1991 in London, England. His father, Peter Rodger, worked in the film industry, and he was a director with credits that would eventually include a role as second unit director on The Hunger Games. This is them at the premiere of The Hunger Games. This is his father. There's Elliot. This is his stepmother, I believe, but yeah, Elliot was at the premiere of The Hunger Games. His mother came from a Malaysian Chinese background, and she had experience both in healthcare and film. Like, she was a nurse, and she would be working as an on-set nurse on some of the most iconic productions. She was working on The Princess Bride, and she was working on Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Yeah, it's crazy. They worked with like some of the most famous people out there. I found a photo of him with like Sylvester Stallone. It's crazy. I did not know this was him. Like, I was just like, I think I saw some of the photos before, like randomly, and I was like, oh, who is this kid? Like, I didn't see him in like the movie. Like, who is this kid? Like, turns out that he is a mass murderer. Okay, so his parents' marriage didn't actually last. They separated when Elliot was 7, and not long after that, his dad remarried, and he married this Moroccan-born French actress named Somaya Akaboun. And the new family dynamic was definitely rocky. Elliot pushed back against Somaya's authority, you know, like he didn't want to listen to her because she wasn't his mother. And he made sure to like remind her of that. You know, he was just like, oh, you're not my biological mother. Like, you can't tell me what to do. I'm only going to listen to my father, you know? Excuse me, Sylvester Stallone? What the fuck? Yeah, there's a picture of him with Sylvester Stallone. The you know, his stepmother is like, in one picture, she's kind of like talking to Sylvester Stallone, and then another picture, well, one picture is like, oh, you know, Rodger is kind of right behind Sylvester Stallone, and then later they were like talking with, you know, obviously with his father, with his stepmother, that kind of thing. Yeah, so he was definitely rejecting his stepmother. Around this time, the signs began to emerge that something wasn't quite right about Elliot. You know, social interaction never came easily to Elliot. Like, I know that there are, you know, as kids, when you're going through puberty, you can be very socially awkward. I think every single one of us probably goes through it, but for Elliot, it was extreme. Like, it was not exactly normal, let's say. There were signs of something, you know. He definitely struggled to make friends, and as he entered adolescence, these struggles only intensified. He became painfully aware of his physical appearance. Like, there was something going on in his head, because he was like fixated on his height, his thin frame. Like, he did not like the fact that he was so thin, and he, he wanted to change that. He decided to, play basketball in hopes that it would help him grow taller. Obviously, that's not how it works. He also dyed his hair blonde to look more like, kids around him. And then he even picked up skateboarding, hoping it would, help him blend in with the popular crowd. He was hoping, he wanted to be like the cool kids, and he just wanted to grow taller, and he just wanted to be seen as one of the cool kids. But, none of it really worked the way he hoped. Like, he definitely didn't grow taller. I mean, yeah, he grew a little bit taller, but just like not, like as he was growing, like, he didn't grow as tall as he was hoping that the basketball would make him grow. But yeah, just I don't like my thin frame. Oh, Void Wolf says, I don't like my thin frame either, but you don't see me killing people over it. Oh, absolutely. Like, I think for him, it was just, I know that we all have probably have something that we don't like about our appearance, and we wish we could change. We wish it was different. But for Elliot, it was just more intense. Like, he was really obsessed with his appearance and obsessed with certain aspect of his of his look. So despite brief periods of social interaction, like, he was doing better, he still remained awkward, isolated, and increasingly resentful. He began to fixate even more on his differences, especially his mixed race heritage, and his lack of romantic experiences. That was a huge part, and he saw them not just as obstacles, but as like injustices. Like, before, like at the beginning, he was thinking about it as obstacles, like, oh, because I'm mixed race, like, oh, because I look a certain way, girls don't want to date me, or, oh, like, that's how it started. Like, oh, this is an obstacle, I have to change it, I have to better myself, and I have to be more social. But then quickly it just turned to, oh, this is so unfair. Why don't girls want to date me? I am so good. Like, oh, I look so great, or I'm, such a great guy. Like, why don't they want to date me? Why do they date all those other guys and not me? Like, this is unfair. And soon it turned into resentment. So, oh, that's their fault. They are at fault. They are the source of my loneliness. They are the source of my hurt. But for a while, Elliot tried to focus on something else, his love for movies. His mom was still very much invested in her work as a nurse on movie sets. And I cannot believe that I'm going to say this right now, but at one point she met Steven Spielberg and George Lucas because, yes, my voice, yes, let's turn into a toaster. Let my voice turn into a toaster. That's, yes. This is the best time. So yes, his mom, she continued to work at, on movie sets, and eventually she did meet Steven Spielberg. She met George Lucas, and she even, listen to this, she even dated George Lucas for some time. Elliot Rodger's mom dated George Lucas for some time, and they were even, Elliot was invited to several red carpet premieres, including he was invited to Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Yeah, he was there with his mom. It's just, yeah, what the fuck? I was just like, who is this guy? Why? But yeah, that makes sense. Both of his parents worked. Yeah, I see the chat like going, what the hell? What's going on? Yeah, he was just there. It's crazy. Like, the fact that there are pictures from the Hunger Games premiere and he's just there with his parents. So it's crazy. Had no idea. Okay, so Elliot's love for movies was actually ruined. So he loved movies, he loved going to the cinema and like, even alone, like, yeah, like, he didn't have that many friends, like, if any, but he still loved going to the cinema just to watch movies. And he would go several times a week, maybe several times a day sometimes. But this was ruined by being surrounded by happy couples at cinema. So he would see some, people on dates, going on dates to the cinema and being happy, and he could get angry, and he couldn't stand seeing people happily in love. Like then he stopped going because he was just like, this is so unfair. You know, this is, oh, they shouldn't be happy. How dare they? How dare they be happy in front of me? How dare they be in love in front of me when I can't get a date, you know? And it was just growing. This resentment was growing stronger. And as he entered adolescence, the gap between his desires and his reality became increasingly apparent and increasingly distressing. So like many teenagers, he experienced a surge in, you know, like curiosity, sexual curiosity and desire. But instead of approaching these feelings with like in a healthy or curious way, he quickly convinced himself that romantic and sexual relationships were forever out of his reach, and that belief calcified into a painful certainty. He was just like, this is not gonna happen. And oh, I want to, right, like, oh, I'm curious about XYZ, or I want to do XYZ with girls, but it's just, oh, they don't want to date me. That's their fault. It's not gonna happen. And I'm, you know, like he was just kind of steering, or like, yeah, like he was just going deeper and deeper into this spiral of like loneliness, and convincing himself that, oh, there's no one out there who would date me, and that's their fault. And women are evil, and I am gonna be forever alone. And it was just beyond the normal, like, oh, forever alone, haha, you know, like, oh, you know, tear. No, it was way beyond that. Like, if you guys think for a moment, like if you ever thought for a moment, like, oh my god, you know, like I can't get a date, you know, I'm gonna be forever alone, it's not even close. Like, first of all, you're not gonna be, like, I'm pretty sure there's someone out there for everyone. But yeah, like it's way beyond. Like, if you ever felt like lonely, and you felt like, oh well, I can't, you know, there's I can't get a date, or, you know, oh, I don't have anyone to like, or like that likes me, and that's how it's gonna stay forever. Like, if you ever felt that way, it's probably most likely not even close to what he kind of built, what kind of world and reality he built in his head. Okay, so at school, Rodger earned a reputation as an outsider. He was quiet, socially awkward, and sometimes deliberately irritating, and he struggled to connect with others. His behavior made him a target for bullies, and according to his own accounts, one of his early bullies was a blonde female classmate. A detail, so this blonde girl was bullying him in school, and this detail he would later like obsess over, claiming that it played a huge role. It played a formative role in his growing animosity toward women. So that was like, oh, the little blonde girl. And listen, hear me out. So listen here, yes. Sometimes my brain just like jumbles all the words. But listen, I know that it's not, you know, it's not uncommon. We probably all have that one person from like elementary school, middle school, like that we remember from our school years, that we remember for being an asshole, or like, oh, this person hurt me very deeply when I was in school, you know, like, and you will remember that person for a long time, maybe for your whole life. Like, he's not the only person that probably was bullied by a little blonde girl, you know. But do you see every single person that was bullied by a little blonde girl go on a murder spree? No. Because the reality that he built for himself in his head was just so vastly different. And the resentment that he felt was just so incredibly much strong, like so much stronger, so incredibly strong, and just diluted and just, yeah, extreme. In my opinion, women are not evil. Hey, thank you. Thank you for that. Just live longer than men. Yeah, well, I mean, okay. That's because I have to say that is because guys tend to take more risks. And I mean like actual physical risks. That's one part. I think that's one thing. Two, like, I think men on average, like, oh yeah, like they tend to take more risks, and then tend to care maybe less about, on average, you know, like, oh, they care less about health That might be, that might be it. That might be the issue too, and they are more stressed on average, I think. If Sona is evil, then I'm Mothman. No, wait, wait. Why he's gotta said like, oh, not all women are evil. Women are not evil. Thank you. We're not all evil. Same as with guys, I think there's always some bad apples, right? But that doesn't mean everyone is inherently evil, or any side is inherently evil. Will, hello, good morning. Thank you so much for tuning in. It seems his mind is warped beyond sanity. Jahan, you are so right. Beyond insanity. And the problem is that he wasn't diagnosed really like with anything. Well, he was. Okay, so he was. Like, I do see this particular detail not being included in a lot of videos. Like, people don't really mention it that much. But there was a point in his life when he got diagnosed with something. So in 2007, a clinical evaluation led to a diagnosis of pervasive developmental disorder not otherwise specified. So PDD-NOS, which is a condition on the autism spectrum that affects communication and social interaction. But, while he didn't. So the problem is that, yes, he was diagnosed with this, but he didn't really meet the threshold of like for a formal autism diagnosis. So he was, but he wasn't. Also, Joshua, thank you so much for the super. So is it too risky to swim with sharks? Yes, it is too risky to swim with sharks. Please don't. Well, unless you know how to handle a shark. Also, Rise Goddess says, yeah, I know. Just pointed out the fact that they live longer. No, yeah, I know. Yes, absolutely. Okay, so as I said, like, he was technically diagnosed with this PDD-NOS, but then it was just like not otherwise specified, and he was on the spectrum, but he wasn't, like, right? Like, he didn't quite meet the threshold to be formally diagnosed with autism. So he's like, oh, let's say balancing on the edge there, like, kind of, but not. And the identification allowed him to access the special education support. Like, it did allow him some forms of assistance, right, like of treatment, and still the diagnosis offered very little relief in the long run. Like, it didn't really change much, like, his life much. By the time he turned 18, Elliot had stopped engaging with mental health professionals, and he discontinued his medication. He was on a bunch of, like, on a variety of medication. His withdrawal from all this treatment coincided with a growing bitterness that shaped his worldview. He enrolled briefly at Los Angeles Pierce College, but then his experience quickly deteriorated, like seeing his peers, seeing other students, especially couples. He was just enraged, and it would trigger like rage, intense feelings of loneliness, resentment, alienation, and he would just be like, nope, I'm gonna drop out. Because they can't look at happy couples. So essentially you have to stay, in your room inside, and like not look on at the internet, like not look on social media, not look at anything, and not watch movies too, because there are probably some happy couples in movies or TV shows. So I don't know what you're gonna do. But yeah, he was deeply, deeply disturbed, and his mother, hoping to, encourage him to maybe restructure, like to have some more structure and stability in life, she did encourage him to find a job, because he didn't have a job. Like, he dropped out of college, like he wasn't a student, but then he didn't want to work, but he resisted, and he spent most of his time at home, occasionally reading in bookstores or sitting alone at cafes, quietly hoping that someone, preferably a woman, would approach him and initiate a connection, but no one did. And this is, I know there's, he was in his head, this made sense, and then, well, I mean, yeah, kind of, but in his imagination, like, oh, this is what he would do, and he would have this like movie like scene where someone approaches him at a coffee shop, and this is the beginning of a great love story. But that's not you know, that's not exactly what it can happen. Absolutely. You know, this is it is on one hand a realistic scenario, like, oh, someone approaches you, hits on you at a coffee shop. Sure. But usually it doesn't, especially like 2014s. I think like maybe early 2000s, people were still like, young people were still more confident and they were like hitting on each other or something. Like they're more approachable. But I have to say, from 2010s, 2020s, like now we're in an era where people are just even more socially awkward. And yeah, they just kind of leave each other alone. I really don't see as many, I don't see approaching someone in the wild, let's say, as that common. I think young people are just more and more awkward, anxious, and they don't do that, right? Like, oh, it's more like sliding into DMs, more like that. Like, oh, we don't like, you know, kind of direct confrontation or direct approaching someone directly. I don't think I've ever been like approached like that. Maybe like once or something, but like not, you know, I go to a coffee shop and I'm just reading something or I'm doing something. Yeah, no one's approaching me. Like no one, I don't think I was ever like approached. Yeah. So ironically, it wasn't like he thought he's alone with this and he's the only guy who doesn't get approached, but it's just like, or the only person that doesn't get approached, but it's just not true. Like every single one of us, like you go, you're like, oh, you know, you're taking care of your business or you're, you know, minding your own business, and everyone else is doing that too. Everyone else is minding their own business, that kind of thing. Has Sona ever been hit on before? I have, yeah. Like but I'm clueless, so I kind of like, now I'm aware that, oh yeah, that one time when someone approached me, oh, this was, I was clueless at the time. I had no idea that this was like, I was being hit on. And, you know, like, oh, someone would just kind of talk to me in a park or something, and I had no idea, so I would just be like wishing them a good day, and I'd be like, happily go away. And it's just like, okay, no idea. I had no idea that this was an actual attempt at, you know, hitting on someone. See, that's another problem. Because he might have been approached. Maybe he was approached and he just didn't realize that this was actually someone hitting on him. Sona's the dense anime protagonist. No, like seriously, I would just be like, oh, you know, like, oh, that was a nice interaction. Oh, how nice of this person to like strike up a conversation. Oh, that was so nice. And then I would just like go about my day happily. Years later, I would be, oh, wait a minute. Hold up. Wait, was this? Yeah, I never realized. Sona and her accidental harem. No, it happened in the past, you know, but like 9 out of 10 times I probably, well, if there was like 10 times, but you know, I just didn't realize. I was like, oh, that was a nice interaction. Oh, that was a nice person. Okay, let's move on with our life. And I'll be like, oh, years later, I'll be like, oh, okay, that's what it was. Yeah, I was a stupid kid, or, you know, I never realized. Okay, so eventually Elliot enrolled into another college, but, you know, it was like Moon Park College, thinking that maybe this time he would be better, like, oh, there would be a fresh start, you know. But again, nothing really changed. Like he didn't really change. So yeah, like he got even angrier at people dating around him but not dating him. And after a year, he dropped out again. In an effort to help him, you know, break free from his growing isolation, Elliot's parents came up with what seemed like a good plan, you know, like a hopeful plan, and they sent him to college in Santa Barbara. The idea was simple, you know, place him in this like big, vibrant college town, surround him with peers, surround him with people, and offer him another fresh start. And they agreed to support his living expenses and tuition. They hoped that, you know, maybe he can immerse himself a little bit more in social environment. Maybe he could join a fraternity. Maybe, you know, like, oh, because it's a college town, there's gonna be like more people his age, and he can make a connection. He can build friendships and find a sense of belonging. And Elliot reluctantly accepted the plan. Reportedly, he accepted after watching the film titled Alpha Dog, and the movie, which depicted a party-centric lifestyle. It left him with this fantasy that college life might finally deliver the experiences he felt cheated out of. Like he was like, oh, this is a college in Santa Barbara. Oh, this is like a college town. Okay, it's the same as the movie. I'm gonna find friends, I'm gonna go to parties, and most of all, I'm gonna have sex, essentially. Like, that's what he was focusing on. Like, that's what I want. So he imagined Isla Vista, the community adjacent to the University of California in Santa Barbara, as the place where he would finally transform his reality. He moved into this apartment in June 2011. This was the fancy apartment. Listen, this is California. That's California. That's a fancy, that's a pretty nice student apartment. So he moved in and he thought like, okay, I'm gonna make some friends. I'm gonna transform myself. But instead of the transformation he anticipated, Rodger encountered more of what he had always struggled with. So difficulty connecting. In some cases, his behavior like seriously crossed a line. He apparently directed racial slurs and insults at 2 Hispanic roommates, claiming that he was like much better looking than them in, putting it in nice words. But basically he was just like, oh, I'm better looking than you. And that one roommate would later like request a different housing assignment. And he actually called, when he was requesting, the new arrangement, right? Like the new, the arrangement, oh God, the living or housing assignment. This one roommate actually called Rodger a ticking time bomb. Yeah. And he was just like expressing to the management, he expressed like serious concern for his safety, for people's safety. And I sense foreshadowing. Like, this guy knew. He knew that it's better to jump the ship now, because he knew this guy is dangerous, or like he's gonna be dangerous in the future. He had a sense, he had like a Peter tingle. He had a tingle. He's just like, yeah, Spider-Man tingle. Spidey senses. This guy is just not normal. And because harboring resentment toward women wasn't enough, Elliot began to harbor resentment toward the community as a whole. Like he's just like, I hate Isla Vista. This is the source. This is the source of evil in my life, So Isla Vista became in his mind a symbol of everything he believed he deserved, right? Like, oh, girls, parties, friends, popularity, but he couldn't attain. And he felt entitled to attention, particularly from, conventionally attractive blonde women. Like he was, I sense that this is like still about that little blonde girl in his past that bullied him. Sorry. Yeah, so he was targeting, he's literally like, was like, oh, I want a conventionally attractive blonde girl to like me. And none of them did, unfortunately. Like, he was just, we're gonna watch some of his videos. I'm gonna tell you right now, like, stay tuned, because we are gonna watch some of his videos and you're gonna get a sense of what kind of guy Elliot Rodger was. And because he didn't get the attention, the attention didn't come, he blamed them and the men they chose instead. So he was just like, oh, this is unfair. They are evil. Women are evil, but also, it's all the fault of those men that they are dating, but not me, right? Like, oh, they're not dating me. His digital presence only reinforced his delusions. On social media, like, Elliot actually projected an image of luxury and sophistication. His Facebook page featured photos of like private flights, private jets, and red carpet events. This is a picture, one of the pictures of Elliot Rodger, and there's Sylvester Stallone. This is at the Hunger Games premiere. So yeah, and later there was like another photo where Sylvester Stallone is talking to, like, they're standing next to Rodger and his father and his stepmother, and like talking to the stepmom, and they're like laughing together. You know, it's pretty crazy. So he was like painting Rodger, like Elliot Rodger was painting himself as this like cultured, respectful young man who was simply misunderstood, but behind the curated image, his posts were increasingly filled with frustration, loneliness, and anger. He started posting selfies with his car. He wrote about his bitterness. You know, like his car is saying like, oh, look at what you're missing out on, you know, like look at what you're just kind of like skipping. Oh, I'm such a great guy, and I have this luxury car, and why are you not dating me? Oh, sorry. So he was, yeah, like he was writing about his bitterness and vented about his isolation, and he even drove around Isla Vista filming couples and women from a distance, documenting everything on YouTube. In his words, the rejection he felt were, you know, like in his words, like the rejection he felt like he was surrounded by it. Okay, so we're gonna watch one of the videos. Just a fragment, you know, like this is a video that was reposted to YouTube. Let me kind of go to this, but oh, why? Of course it wouldn't be. It would not be my stream without. It would not be my stream without without some scuff. Nice guy, fedora type hat tip guy, Jesus. But yeah, so we're gonna watch one of the videos, and let me turn this off. Well, a fragment, because it's actually a video analysis. Sorry, I have to. Do I have to sneeze? Okay, I think I'm good. Okay, so yeah, so this was posted by Ethereal Fox Productions, and it's kind of like a video essay about, so there might be some narration, but I'm gonna, because I couldn't find the actual like just uncut video, but we're gonna watch this. This video was titled "Why Do Girls Hate Me So Much?" Let's take a look.
I've been attending college in Santa Barbara for about 2.5 years now. And in those 2.5 years, I've experienced nothing but loneliness and misery. And my problem is girls.
And the way he points at the camera with such assertion with his right hand, index finger stretched out. My problem is girls. He's just getting right straight to the problem. And this is obviously something that's been bothering him for quite some time.
There are so many beautiful girls here, but none of them give me a chance, and I don't know why. I don't know why you girls are so repulsed by me. It doesn't make sense. I do everything I can to appear attractive to you. I dress nice. I'm sophisticated and magnificent.
Yeah. And he just goes on. Yeah, it just goes on. I'm gonna play some more. Okay, let's see. What?
People could easily mistaken like all of those being that way.
I have a nice car, a BMW. Well, it's nicer than 90% of the people in my college. You know, I'm polite. I'm the ultimate gentleman. And yet, you girls never give me a chance. I don't know why. You know, I put a lot of effort into dressing nice. These sunglasses here, they're $300. Giorgio Armani.
Oh, it's like Armani. See, yeah, but yeah, you can dress nicely. You can, you know, take care of yourself. That's obviously, yeah, like, oh, that can attract someone. But the moment you kind of post an essay online saying like, why does no one like me? And I have like 300 sunglasses. I'm sorry, but that's immediately a turn off. I was like, why don't you girls like me? I have a nice car. I'm like, but are you nice? Are you, well, I mean, he's magnificent. So there's that. The magnificence and sophistication, and he's such a great guy. I mean, not to, I don't want to like make fun of him. Yeah, like he, not everyone can talk on YouTube and it sounds like, oh, it's gonna sound natural. Like obviously this was scripted, most likely. It sounds like it was scripted, or maybe he's just awkward about talking, so that might be a little cringe. But yeah, like he's just venting, and it just the reasons are just not great. Like, are you okay? So you dress nicely, you look nice, you have a nice car, you have nice glasses, you have expensive clothes, but are you working on yourself? As in, like, oh, are you interesting? Do you have a good personality? Like, what's more? Like, what's more to it, right? Like, oh, is that all? Like, nice car, nice glasses, but then, like, there's nothing attractive about your personality? Or like, are you trying? I mean, yeah, like he was trying, like he claimed to be trying, but then he was just like creepily, like just being creepy and driving around town, like venting about how no one likes him. But then he's alone in the car, and he's, yeah, just I was just very confused about it, because there were like, I see his videos as like, oh, he's sitting mostly alone in his car, mostly like driving around town alone, and he's complaining about like, oh, all those parties going on. But then why aren't you like, try to go to events, try to, yeah, like, okay, yeah, go to events, try to connect with people, get invited to parties, and then you can make friends, and then just don't stress out too much. He had like a lot of pressure in himself to date, like specifically to date. Like, oh, I don't really want to genuinely. It just didn't seem like he wanted to genuinely like someone. Like, he didn't want to like someone. So he wanted someone to like him. Which is like, okay, well, but you, generally speaking, like, oh, it would be nice for you to focus on like, oh, I want to like that person. And I want to make sure that, okay, like, I want to try hard for them to like me. But it's like, oh no, but girls have to like me because I dress nicely and I have $300 sunglasses. Fancy items isn't going to hide your ego. Yeah, it's not. Like, I have to say, like, well, I don't know him. I didn't know him personally. Maybe he was a good guy at the beginning, but then later, like, maybe he wasn't. Like, oh, it's just hard to tell from the videos. Yeah, he presents himself as like having a big ego, or like maybe he's trying to appear as this like alpha male, whatever. Like, sure, but it's just, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, money can't buy love. Money can buy happiness. To me, like, well, it can make life less stressful, but not love. Yeah, like, not love, friendship, not genuine connection, human connection. I don't think that it can. It cannot. Yeah, it's just the way he presented himself wasn't exactly the best. Let's say that. Like, he might have been a good guy at this point. Honestly, I can tell you this, that maybe, like, even in this video, even the way he sounds now, at this point, he might have still been a good guy. That's the thing. Like, he might have still been just wanting, like, trying to get friendships and like romantic relationships, but it's just, the presentation was just bad. Okay, so in the summer of 2011, let's continue. So the summer of 2011, the quiet unease that simmered beneath the surface of Elliot's life began to really erupt into public outbursts. So yes, at this point, like, he was still, as I said, like, as I suspected, like, he was still a good guy. Like, he was frustrated with how things were. He was frustrated with his inability to connect with people. But he wasn't really a terrible person. He wasn't a horrible person at this point. He was just an awkward guy, and he was just having a very hard time finding friends and finding relationship. That's nothing to be ashamed of. That's not something that is bad or evil. Yeah, he was frustrated, but he wasn't evil, right? But then it kind of spiraled out of control. During his visit to a Starbucks, he witnessed something that just enraged him. There was a couple sharing an intimate moment, and overcome with envy and rage, he just like followed them outside and hurled his hot drink at them before fleeing. Yep. He just yeeted a hot drink at this random couple because he was angry that they were like making out or, you know, or being lovey-dovey at a coffee shop. And this is not over. Like, this was not over. Just days later, a similar scene happened. This time it was an affectionate pair, like an affectionate couple. He witnessed someone again at a food court and he trailed them with his car. And once again, he just like kind of yeeted a drink in their direction. Like this time iced tea, not a hot drink, but still, you know, like he was so bitter about it. And he just, you know, started throwing drinks at people. And these weren't isolated incidents. They were warning signs. Like it was getting worse. As much as like he was frustrated before, you know, as much as things were happening in his personal life, like he was not feeling great, like his mental health was deteriorating, it wasn't as bad, right? Like it was never that bad. He was just frustrated. He was still a good guy, but then he just started turning seriously bitter and he was actually starting to do things. And this was like toxic mindset that had been festering for years in his head. Fast forward to July 20th, 2013, Rodger was approaching his 22nd birthday and he became fixated on what he saw as a final opportunity to lose his virginity. He actually talked in his videos that he mentioned either in his diaries or like posts online or videos that he was a virgin at 22 and he was like distraught about it. He was just like, he was angry that some of his friends, if he had like some friends, they would say, oh, I lost my virginity earlier, you know, and he would be angry about that because he's like 22. High time, like, oh, I'm still a virgin, which by the way, 22, absolutely nothing to be ashamed of. It's first of all, nothing to be ashamed of, period. If you're a virgin, like what is there to be ashamed of? So you didn't find a person that you would, you know, entrust with this, right? I think it's pretty, yeah, like I think it's not something that you can take lightly. I mean, yeah, you can. I guess it's like, it depends on the person. You can take it lightly. It doesn't have to be that important to you. Like virginity, it doesn't have to be important. It doesn't have to be with the love of your life, obviously. But also just because you're like holding out or like waiting or just didn't find the right person, that's also nothing to be ashamed of. So but in his head, it was something to be ashamed of. It was something that made him a loser. Like that's what he was thinking, which it's not. It's absolutely not. And yeah, face-palming moment. And he was angry at people around him, at his friends, for losing their virginity earlier than him. And he was just like angrier and angrier about it. And then, you know, he believed that this was something that he was entitled to. Like, oh, losing his virginity. Like he wanted to be intimate with someone. And he's like, I deserve this. And then he turned to vodka for courage, and you know, he made his way to a party near Isla Vista, hoping that this night could change everything. But what he found at that party only deepened his resentment. Upon entering, he spotted a blonde woman talking to an Asian man, and for reasons that were deeply personal and irritating for him, because he was very resentful about his heritage, like the fact that his appearance, like, oh, his mixed race heritage just affected his appearance in a certain way that he didn't like, made him even more resentful of the fact that there was this blonde, attractive woman and she was flirting with this Asian man, and like, why is it not him, right? Like he was spiraling more and more. And this combination just absolutely infuriated him. He intentionally bumped into the man as he passed, which is a subtle, like just a subtle act of provocation. Yes, subtle. Yes, my Polish accent is coming out. This is it. Oh God. Okay, so this was a subtle act of like just, I don't know, provocation, right? But when he failed to connect with anyone at the party, like he failed to stir some trouble, that's one, and then he failed to connect with anyone at the party, his behavior escalated. Guys, it got crazy at that party. So he climbed onto a 10-foot ledge and he began gesturing as if he was firing a gun, and his fingers like were mimicking a weapon. Then in a moment of terrifying impulse, he tried to shove several women off the ledge, and then his actions were interrupted when a group of men pushed him off the ledge instead, fracturing his ankle. So it wasn't as like, yeah, it was pretty high up there, but you know, like, yeah, he got injured, but he didn't die. It wasn't like life-threatening. But yeah, he fell from the ledge. And also, Bacon, thank you so much. Dude is a virgin of his own doing, being a prick. Kind of, yeah. That's the sad part. I think it was like an endless cycle. Like, he wanted to not be a virgin, he wanted to have a romantic relationship, but he kind of created himself in a way that, it discouraged girls, or just wasn't really attractive to girls. Like, the way he just presented himself is just, it might be as simple as it is, as that, you know. Had he been just just normal guy, tried to connect, maybe, well, as I said, like, it was in part because of his diagnosis, right? Like, oh, kind of on the edge of autism spectrum, but not enough to be formally diagnosed. So there was something in his head that was blocking him from making genuine connections, but it wasn't enough to be like seriously like, oh, you know, considered formal autism diagnosis. Okay, so he was like disoriented when he fell. He was disoriented, still under the influence of alcohol, and he wandered off in search of his belongings. He dropped, but in his confusion, he entered the wrong house. So this just spiraled out of control. So he falls off the ledge, breaks his ankle. He's searching for his items. He's still under the influence, right? Like he's still drunk. So he kind of wanders off and he enters the wrong house, where the occupants, they were alarmed by his intrusion and they actually beat him up. Which, by the way, like, who does this? Like, yeah, okay. Yeah, like, maybe if someone was aggressive, but he apparently just walked in. Like, he thought this was part of the party or something. But then the people inside, they just beat him up badly, leaving him bruised and with a swollen eye. In the days leading up to April 26th, Elliot turned increasingly to the internet to just kind of vent and air all of his grievances. Over the course of just 1 week, he made 22 videos on his YouTube channel, each one acting as a window into just his deteriorating mental state. It was getting worse and worse. And these weren't just casual vlogs. They were cries for validation. They steeped in resentment and confusion. And Danny says, not gonna lie, I was told by my mom that I'm autistic. I'm glad I never ended up like this guy. Listen, because 99.9% of people on the spectrum, right, like autistic people, I would say, yeah, like, you don't, like, 99% of people with autism don't go out there and shoot up people or kill people, right? And it's just people, right? Like, they get regular friendships, they get regular relationships. It was just like, in his case, it was just something. It was something dark inside of him that just made him do it. And it's not something that anyone could have really predicted, honestly. Like, yeah, maybe the guy who was his roommate, like, oh, this guy is a ticking time bomb, like, he's gonna, maybe this could have, you know what, like, I take it back, maybe this could have been predicted had it been addressed, but unfortunately he wasn't going to therapy. He wasn't talking to anyone about this, except for talking on the internet, which, as we know, the internet is an absolute cesspool of toxicity, and you can get into very bad communities. yeah, you can absolutely get help from people on the internet. You can resolve your issues. Like if you get into a good community with good people, sure, it's possible. But unfortunately, I would say it was very unfortunate that he found himself in a community that just reinforced his mindset. And it was a toxic community. It was a toxic manosphere that just made it so much worse. And Danny, thank you so much for the supa. Okay, so in his videos, Rodger just kind of fixated on the idea that women consistently rejected him. I do have another whoosh. Wait, sorry. I have to pause some stuff. What? Ay. Wait. Okay, so Rodger did, fixate on the idea that women consistently rejected him despite what he saw as obvious advantages, like designer clothes, an expensive car, and, his mind, like he was, well, in his mind, like his physical appearance, like, oh, he was so attractive. These were like all the best parts of him, but just like, okay. He couldn't really like reconcile the attention he lacked with what he believed he deserved. And then the titles of his uploads reflected his growing bitterness. Like he made videos like, why do girls hate me so much? Being lonely on spring break sucks. Life is so unfair because girls don't want me. And also my reaction to seeing a young couple at the beach, envy. This just illustrated a man spiraling into obsession. Honestly, all this time that he had spent on obsessing over romantic relationships, right? Like over not having sex, like he could have spent it on like, well, let me start a hobby. You know what? Let me start a hobby. I don't know. Let me start hiking. And surprise, surprise, I meet people on the hike trail. I meet people, or let me start pickleball. I don't fucking know, but start something and don't focus on that. Just focus on like, okay, well, let me do something that I enjoy. And see, maybe I'm gonna out there and maybe I'm gonna meet some people. I think obsession is an understatement. Oh yeah, this was an understatement. Okay, so let's look at this one. Wait, I think I had like one video that I wanted to show you guys. Oh yeah, okay. I got it. Okay, so there's this video. I'm gonna just pause my music so that you guys can watch it. There's this video. This is like one of the like videos that he released in the month like before the massacre. This is what he says in that video.
Normal side keeps coming through and he doesn't get it quite right. Here it is.
Okay.
Hey, Elliot Rodger here. I'm sitting in my car making another entry in my collection of vlogs. Today I want to talk about the kind of men that girls are attracted to. You see, ever since I hit puberty, I've wanted girls, I've desired girls, I've been sexually attracted to girls, but they've never shown any attraction back to me. And during that time I've tried to question why. Why aren't they attracted to me? Even though during the last 2 years I've tried really hard to appear as attractive as possible and to be as attractive as possible. And I've often made theories of the kind of guys that girls really are attracted to. After going to college for 2.5 years and seeing all of the horrific sights I've seen there, mainly all of the young couples walking about.
Horrific sights I've seen there. Young couples in love. That's a horrific sight. Well, I mean, you can tell that he's kind of, not in the best mind space. headspace.
About the guys who actually have the hot girls. I've concluded that females have a very flawed and perverted form of sexual attraction.
This awkward smile
What? Dear Lord. Okay, sure. We have, you know, I guess I have a very perverted form of sexual attraction to whatever. Also, it was vlogs, not not me logs. He said vlogs, like vlogs. I guess now we say vlogs, but it was like vlogs. Can be said. I guess. Wait. Hold up. Is it actually vlogs? Was I mispronouncing it all this time? Oh well, the things you know, the things you learn. Right.
Yeah, of my college, or just walking through my college, I see that all of the beautiful girls go for the big, obnoxious, boisterous, beefy jock types. It's the same in high school, though I never, thankfully, got to experience the brutality of high school because I was homeschooled for 10th, 11th, and 12th grade.
You can see Elliot.
I mean, okay, I'm gonna also pause it, but because, yeah, maybe that's also, one of the things that he shouldn't have missed out on. Like, he was homeschooled, but maybe, especially for him, maybe like going to high school, to an actual high school, would have been better. Like, I think he would have found friends. I think it would have been better. Like, I think it is pretty important. I know that there are different circumstances. Not everyone can actually go to, like, attend a school. Like some people, right? Like some of kids, like they have to do homeschooling. Understandable for variety of reasons. But I think in his case, he could have benefited from actually attending high school. I think it was like also partially maybe a trauma from getting bullied in like elementary, middle school, and that's why he didn't go. Okay, and then he does have like another point. Let me just like skip to it. This is the part where he drives around town. Homeschooled? Well, that explains a lot, right? Like, I do feel like in his case, he could have benefited from going to actual high school and interacting with people. Because that could have been, see, high school is like kind of, sort of entry to college life, sort of, right? Like it's just more mature than middle school. Like, yeah, it's still stupid kids, but we're still stupid kids in high school. But it is kind of like college entry level. Just, beginner level college experience. Like, oh, you're building relationships, you're going to parties with your high school kid, like your high school friends, and Eric, hello. Okay, so we're gonna see the next part, and he's driving around town, and he's like super resentful about there like being parties going on because it's a college town. So he's seeing like, oh, see that house, there's a party. See that those people, oh, they're partying. Why am I not there? Why am I not invited? Okay.
Hold on, let me check if I'm getting some good footage. Am I?
I think there was like something here.
Well, that was my first tour of this horrible, wretched, depraved town.
Jesus.
There will be many more to come.
Horrible, wretched, depraved town. I mean, sometimes his wording, honestly. Okay. That's a little much.
Here I am, Elliot Rodger. Beautiful, magnificent gentleman. Though the girls around this town don't see it. They hang around with those slobs. Those obnoxious, horrible, disgusting men. But they never give me a chance. That's why my life is so unfair. Oh look, even more houses full of obnoxious college students right there. It's just ridiculous.
Lord.
So this time,
Lord have mercy. Oh my god. That is a lot. That is a lot. So full of it. I have to say, like, it's a constant pity party. It's a constant self-pity party. As much as I was sympathetic with him at the beginning because he was really having a hard time as a kid, you know, like his mental health, like his struggles, yeah, like the autism kind of diagnosis or spectrum diagnosis. I was sympathetic, but at one point it is like a constant self-pity party. And yeah, like I gotta say, like if I met someone like that and someone who would just be talking about this like constantly, I don't think I would want to be friends with them. You know, it's not cute. It's not attractive, and it just drives people away. Cause yeah, like no one wants to be around like a negative person who's like constantly in self-pity mode, that kind of thing. Okay.
and feelings of rejection,
Lord.
that he projected his expectations
Right.
onto everyone he saw, and even people he didn't see, which made him more miserable and made his feelings of rejection worse. And because he didn't really interact,
Is he? Yeah, he didn't really interact with people. Let's
it's
see.
further evidence of the world's unfairness. Further
Okay. Christ.
Popular boys, outgoing boys, obnoxious, boisterous, extroverted boys. Those are the boys that girls like. I mean, yes, I'm a shy, quiet guy, but I have good qualities to myself. I'm a gentleman.
I would love to know what he thought of gentlemen.
It's one of those like Reddit r/nice guys, you know, that kind of thing. Okay, well, I see his pain. Like I understand that yes, some people are extroverted, some people have a much easier time making friends, and you can be like you can be jealous, you can be envious of that. It's, you know, I think that's a natural thing if you would like to be a certain way, but you cannot because you were born with you know, these kind of stats. You know, this is what the hand you were dealt with, and what you can do is just make the best out of it. But yeah, this was like a constant pity party, and it was just later misdirected into, oh well, everyone is evil, it's not my fault. It's not my fault for like not trying hard enough, or like not doing like, or just being a certain way, right? Like it's not my fault, it's everyone else's fault, everyone else is evil. Okay, guys, there's a lot. We still have a lot to cover, and I haven't even gotten to the worst part. Okay, so he actually started to hang out more and more in the darkest corners of the internet, often referred to like this one particular side of the internet that is called the manosphere, right? Which is a loose network of, God, I can't pronounce things. But manosphere, a loose network of online spaces that, you know, among other things, discuss masculinity, dating, and gender relations. And he frequently posted on forums like Forever Alone and PUA Hate, digital communities known for pessimism, cynicism, and often just misogynistic rhetoric, you know, like it was very pessimistic. Like he surrounded himself with pessimistic, very negative environment online, and I do believe that greatly affected his actions. And in these forums, Rodger aligned himself with the Incel identity, short for involuntary celibate, a term used by men who feel permanently rejected by women and excluded from romantic and sexual relationships. And discussions in these spaces, you know, often blended like self-loathing, so self-pity party, with externalized anger. So they are angry at someone, like this is someone's fault, this is not my self-pity fault, this is someone else's fault. So he became heavily immersed in the toxic, you know, community, the toxic incel rhetoric, and he just, you know, like this is not So this is not the same, obviously. This is like a mild, very vanilla version of that. But, and I have like, I'm nowhere near that. But I have to say, like, if I scroll on Twitter a lot, like if I have like those days when I'm scrolling on Twitter a lot and I'm seeing, let's say, bigger creators doing like these amazing projects or succeeding, and yeah, I'm gonna say like, oh, I feel negative. I'm just feeling like, oh yeah, like I'm doing like an inner self-pity party, being like, oh well, I didn't succeed, I'm not reaching XYZ numbers, or I'm not, oh well, they are doing this amazing project and I'm not doing it. Yeah, I have those times, I have those moments. This is like a vanilla version, but I have to say, yeah, like if I'm scrolling on Twitter, if I'm constantly just feeding it to myself, right, like feeding myself with this negativity on Twitter, or like the negative, or overall like just negative stuff on Twitter, yeah, this is how like my mindset starts shifting that week, or starts shifting to like very negative place, and I really have to step away, and then I'm fine. And then it's back to normal, and I'm just going about my day, and I'm just doing what I like, right? Like I'm just continuing creating content and just going back to like, okay, well, but I have this project, my little project that I really like, and I'm just gonna focus on that. Yeah, like it's not right. Like if you scroll too much on Twitter that is like super negative, or in spaces that are negative, yeah, it's gonna affect you a lot. But he didn't see that. He didn't see the fact that it was affecting him so much, and he just kept going deeper and deeper. And these forums didn't offer support or solutions. No, like that's the thing. These forums, like there are good forums, there are good spaces that, yes, there is some self-loathing, there is some like, oh, negative content, but at the end of the day, users kind of try to support each other and try to find solutions together. These forums do not find solutions. They instead deepened his isolation, reaffirmed his worst beliefs, reaffirmed that it's not his fault, it's all the whole world's fault. It's women are evil, and they gave shape to a growing sense of entitlement and resentment. And he wasn't just lonely, he was convinced that the world owed him something he had been unfairly denied. And then came the now infamous manifesto. So in the weeks leading up to April 26, 2014, which was the essentially the initial day that Elliot chose for his planned killing spree, but it didn't happen then. Elliot created a 137-page manifesto titled "My Twisted World: The Story of Elliot Rodger." And this manifesto is available online. I will not be posting it. I will not be linking it. You guys, if you're curious, you can find it, but yeah, I wouldn't bother. Like, I mean, if you're curious, it's a whole book, essentially. Yeah, he wrote a 137-page manifesto. And in this manifesto, Rodger describes his life and frustrations at staying a virgin. He described women as a plague and said the right to choose their own partners. Well, he was saying like, my hatred for people who have sex festered inside me like a plague. Women are like a plague. They don't deserve to have any rights. Their wickedness must be contained in order to prevent future generations from failing to degeneracy. Yeah, he was delulu here. Like, it was spiraling. It was getting worse and worse. And he described women, yeah, like as just hindered to, like, he said like, oh, women would hinder the advancement of the human race. He said if women continue to have rights, they will only hinder the advancement of the human race by breeding with degenerate men and creating stupid degenerate offspring. This will cause humanity to become even more depraved with each generation. In a world without sex, humanity will be pure and civilized. Eugenics. But yeah, pure and civilized men will grow up healthily without having to worry about such a barbaric act. Boy, this is a lot. Boy, this is, whoa. That's not good. That is bad. That is very bad. And you know, he, by the time like Elliot had begun mapping out what he ominously referred to as his day of retribution, his delusions had become apocalyptic. And in his manifesto, Rodger made clear that he saw women's rejection not simply as personal misfortune, but as an act of hostility. And he said something like, women's rejection of me was a declaration of war. Oh, this is actually what he said. Also, Bacon, thank you. I'm gonna read your super chat in a minute. So he said, I thought it to be such a tragedy that I was actually going to wage a war against women and all of humanity. But then again, women's rejection of me was a declaration of war. They insulted me by deeming me inferior of their love and sex. Yeah. Boy, he's spiraling. This was getting bad. Bacon said, how does one go to murder before prostitution if they want to lose their virginity, their V card that badly? What the fuck? You know what? Yeah. Why? And he had money. It's not like he didn't have money, and he had like a nice car. It's not like he didn't have a car. He had a nice car. He could have driven down to Las Vegas and just, you know, I don't know, like just do something about it. Yeah, but he, you know, it was just not in his mindset. It was just, that's how it was. And he was spiraling. He was spiraling very, very quickly. And Rodger envisioned a future he described in horrifying detail. One in which human intimacy would be eradicated altogether. So he's just like, no more sex, you know, that's it. That's the solution for everyone. That's the solution for the health of humanity. And women in this dystopian fantasy would be rounded up and imprisoned in concentration camps, essentially. Those few kept alive would serve as, you know, for a single purpose, for single function, reproduction via the, you know, artificial means and under strict control. In this vision, man would live in ignorance of women's very existence. So essentially he wanted to build his harem. And I don't know about you, but you know, if he was going to, his plans were essentially to inseminate women with his sperm. And I'm like, yeah, but if you want to sustain humanity, that is Sweet Home Alabama, you know, like that's not gonna work. Isn't that inbreeding in the long run? Or maybe not. Actually, never mind, because he would be the father of everyone and different mothers. So I guess it makes sense. Never mind, because I forgot about the fact that he wouldn't tell all the other men about... This is just not how it works. Just because you don't know doesn't mean you're not gonna have natural just sense of, you know, just biology and natural sense of, I don't know, like just right, like reproduction. I feel like that is just naturally comes with like any animal species. Yeah, you have like natural sense of, okay, we'll need to reproduce. And that's, you can't, unless you stop hormones and you just kind of castrate everyone, I suppose. Also, Danny, thank you so much. Bud really thinks he's Patrick Bateman. I don't even know. If it were several years later, he would have watched World's End Harem. Yeah, probably. In the end, yeah, he would have. Like, even if it's not inbreeding, even if it's not, like, yeah, it wouldn't be. If no one else was having sex, like if all the children were his with different women, but they weren't having sex with each other, then yeah, I guess it wouldn't be. But I don't know. I'm just kind of I failed to see the logic in that. Okay, so then he posted this video, Day of Retribution, and it was, you know, like, this was his plan. Day of Retribution was his plan, which he mentioned in his manifesto, and it was carefully organized into 3 distinct phases. Before carrying out his plans, he intended to begin with a deeply personal act, driving to his father's home and killing both his stepmother and his younger half-brother. Afterward, he actually planned to steal his father's luxury SUV and head to Isla Vista to set his brother plan in motion, killing more people. Elliot initially planned to carry out his, the attack on April 26th, but as I mentioned, this was delayed to May because as the date approached, there was like a series of unexpected events that delayed his plans altogether. Just 2 days before April 26th, he came down with a cold, and around the same time, his father like unexpectedly returned home like early from his business trip, and these interruptions gave Elliot a pause. He began to wonder if these setbacks were actually signs, like maybe even reasons to abandon his plan. But ultimately, he decided to, I'm not going to abandon the plan. I'm going to reschedule it. And now the date was set to May 24th instead. And there was this one moment when it could have been prevented. I think that's the fucked up part. Like, it could have been prevented. So on April 30th, there was like a new development, but like Rodger's mom, right? Like Elliot's mom, she became increasingly anxious after several days without hearing from him because he wasn't like contacting her. And so like trusting her instincts, she reached his name, like he searched his name online and she came across his videos. She came across some troubling videos on YouTube. One especially like of many that he uploaded recently, and the video was like, "Why do girls hate me so much?" That was the one. And this was like deeply unsettling. So alarmed, she actually tried calling him again, but there was no response. Like she tried several times. After watching those videos, she was just like, no, okay, I have to contact him, right? So she tried to call him, no response. Then she was concerned for his well-being, so she reached out to mental health crisis hotline, and she essentially asked them to send some police officers, like call police and do a welfare check, right? And soon after, a group of 4 sheriff's deputies, a campus police officer, and a trainee dispatcher visited Rodger's apartment. When they confronted him, he actually came across as calm and articulate. He told them that, the videos were actually just me venting, I'm just expressing my struggles, fitting in, and I was just having a hard time. This is nothing serious, right? And he was good enough, they believed him. And the problem is, at the time, all those officers show up at his apartment. They didn't search the apartment. He didn't have to let them in. Later, Elliot wrote that he felt immense relief when the police walked away because, unbeknownst to them, had they searched his room, they would have found like multiple firearms and multiple weapons, not to mention like detailed manifesto outlining his plan for mass murder. Yeah. Dude, had they walked in on April 30th, a single search that day might have been enough to prevent everything that happened eventually. Yeah, they missed their chance. Bro's an actor at the time. Yeah, like when confronted by the police, he could actually act it out. He could say this was just me venting. I was struggling. I'm struggling to fit in with the, in the college community with my peers. That's all it was. It's just my diary and it's not that serious. So they walked away and they could have stopped him. And then a month went by. And with more videos, more outbursts on incel forums and real-life altercations with happy couples, because he continued, confronting people who were just happily in a relationship. Eventually, on May 23rd, a day before the planned attack, Elliot decided that it's time to put his plan in motion. And that day, after practicing stabbing on his bed sheets and pillows, Elliot proceeded to murder his 2 roommates, so David and James, and then he murdered George, right? We're back to the beginning. George was just unlucky. He was unlucky enough to visit the apartment that day. After cleaning himself up, then a stop at a local Starbucks, as I mentioned before, to pick up his latte, And just minutes before he put the rest of his plan in motion, Rodger parked his car and hit record. And then in a now infamous 7-minute video titled Elliot Rodger's Retribution, he looked directly into the camera and with rehearsed lines and unsettling performative laughter, he detailed exactly why he believed the world owed him everything and why it would soon pay. And now we're gonna actually watch that video. I have like that video from YouTube. Let's take a look at that, but it is pretty disturbing, so just bear that in mind.
Hi, Elliot Rodger here. Well, this is my last video. It all has to come to this. Tomorrow is the day of retribution. The day in which I will have my revenge against humanity. Against all of you. I'm 22 years old and I'm still a virgin. And it has been very torturous. It's not fair. You girls have never been attracted to me. I don't know why you girls aren't attracted to me, but I will punish you all for it. I don't know what you don't see in me. I'm the perfect guy, and yet you throw yourselves at all these obnoxious men, instead of me, the supreme gentleman. I will punish all of you for it. You will finally see that I am, in truth, the superior one, the true alpha male. Yes. Well, now I will be a god compared to you. You will all be animals. You denied me a happy life. And in turn, I will deny all of you life. It's only fair. I hate all of you. I've waited a long time for this. I can't wait to give you exactly what you deserve. Utter annihilation.
Yeah. You made your life shit, no one else. Yeah, this is a twisted, I have to say, like, this is a twisted form of like main character syndrome. That's the only way I can describe it. Just twisted main character syndrome, incel edition. And, you know, the video was live. The manifesto was sent. He actually sent it to 13 people. He emailed it to 13 people. And wait, okay, Bacon, thank you so much. Wait a minute, I see his plan. He's gonna go through with this, go to jail, and lose his V card there to some bulky lifer named Bubba. Oh no, oh no, oh no, please, why? Bacon, why? Why? I did not wanna imagine that. Now I have it in my head, thanks. Thanks, Bacon, thanks. Very, very nice of you. I did not imagine that scenario, but ironically it does make sense. That's not what happened, but there's a reason why it didn't happen. Okay, so the problem is that he did send the manifesto. He emailed it to 13 people, right? Like his professors or like his parents, his teachers' parents, whatever, right? His life coach, his therapist, or like ex-therapist, right? And he emailed it to his parents, but his parents didn't get it on time. They didn't read it on time. He emailed it hours before the massacre, but unfortunately, like, they didn't open it. No one opened it in time. And unfortunately, the plan was in motion. What followed was just pure chaos. So at around 9:15 p.m., Elliot Rodger pulled up outside the Alpha Phi sorority house in Isla Vista. He was armed with 3 semi-automatic guns, handguns, loaded magazines strapped around his waist, and he also had a full container of gasoline in tow. Each item was a part of his plan that he had been building for years. He wanted to actually shoot people and then burn the house down. The sorority house, luckily, it was like fortified with heavy entrance door, front door, and they had like this keypad entry system, and that was, you know, like a big obstacle. He tried to open the door, he tried to pull the handle, he punched numbers into the keypad, and he knocked like relentlessly for over 3 minutes. But inside there were only a handful of residents, and you know, most of them were away on a trip to Las Vegas, and those that remained, they were just too exhausted. They were partying that weekend, so they were too exhausted to answer the knocking. So luckily for them, they didn't open. Frustrated by the lack of response, Rodger actually set the gas can down and walked back to his car. Minutes later, at 9:27 p.m., he spotted 3 young women walking nearby, and they were members of the Delta sorority. Let me just kind of fix it. Yeah, so they were the 3 members of Delta sorority: 19-year-old Veronica Weiss, 22-year-old Catherine or Katie Cooper, and a 20-year-old woman whose name was not publicly released, so she's the 3rd student. Rodger slowed his car down and opened fire from the driver's seat window as he passed them. The 20-year-old, like, despite her injuries, so the one that was never named, she managed to call her mother. She was sobbing that she thought she was going to die. And nearby residents heard screaming and saw the aftermath, like the 3 women lying on the grass, like bleeding, blood everywhere. Bystanders sprang to action, flagging down a sheriff's deputy who he happened to be close by, and the deputy immediately began first aid, while others tried to resuscitate the victims. And despite their efforts, both Veronica Weiss and Katie Cooper died. They succumbed to their injuries. Veronica had been struck 7 times, with most bullets hitting her lower body, but it was a shot to her chest that was fatal. Katie had been hit 8 times, including injuries to her lungs and the side of her head, which, you know, essentially rendered her dead. Like, she couldn't survive these injuries. And the 3rd victim, the one that was not named, she miraculously survived. She didn't die. And a bystander who took over her care while law enforcement chased after Rodger, they, you know, made sure that she was okay, and she survived. Through the woman's phone, they reassured her mother. Like, they grabbed the phone. They said, like, don't worry, your daughter's alive. Your daughter's gonna be alive. It's gonna be okay. You know, yes, she's injured, but she's gonna be okay. And I wish I could tell you the violence stopped right there, but it didn't. Elliot continued on his way. Like, he continued the rampage. He made a quick turn onto Pardal Road, I guess, Pardal Road, and he fired shots at a closed coffee shop. So luckily no one was at the coffee shop, so it was a closed coffee shop. Luckily no one was there. And then he sped toward a convenience store called Deli Mart. There he opened fire again, and I do have a video of that. I have a video of like what was happening inside of the shop, so take a look.
Okay.
Thank you.
Everybody. Yeah, everybody up. There's people outside. Open the door outside. The park. It's having the park down there. There's a few people on the counter. There's customers or photo. Okay, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, a lot of the people went for cover, and you know, a lot of them, obviously, like most of them didn't get hit, but unfortunately there was one person who did. 20-year-old Christopher Michaels Martinez was just outside of the store. Like, he just walked out of the store, And as he turned toward the sound of gunfire, there was a single bullet, just one bullet that struck him in the chest, and it fatally damaged his heart and his liver. Like just one. Like he tried ducking for cover, but yeah, there was this one bullet that just hit him straight in the chest, straight in the heart and his liver, and just shattered them. So he stumbled inside of the deli, then he collapsed, and as chaos erupted, people, like ducked for cover, and Elliot kept firing through the windows before driving off once more. And this was not over, by the way. We're like, not over, that's not the end. After fleeing this scene of the deli shooting, Elliot Rodger didn't actually stop. In fact, his rampage like only escalated. He was cruising through Isla Vista in his black BMW. This is a map of his route, like his whole the whole like rampage, the whole massacre, and like how many stops, how many times did he fire his gun. The numbers are every time he fired the gun, every single time. So he struck a man with his car. Like he actually like instead, well, it's also like either he started shooting or he struck someone with his car. So this time like he struck, I think this was the location 5. So he struck a man with his car, launching him into the air. This was a brutal hit and run, but the guy survived, but he was, injured very seriously. And then he turned onto the, Trigger Road. I believe it's like here, right? Like he went here, Trigger Road, and then here he, he was like cruising through Isla Vista. On Trigger Road, he saw a local pizzeria called Pizza My Heart, and there was a couple that had just exited the restaurant when he opened fire. This is actually a picture of screenshot from the CCTV footage from that restaurant. Everyone was ducking for cover, and he just saw a couple that exited the restaurant. He opened fire. The man was shot in the left arm, and the woman was shot in the upper right forearm. Luckily, just that, so they didn't die. But in a panic, the man bolted in the opposite direction while the injured woman fled back into the restaurant. But Elliot wasn't done. He fired additional rounds into the restaurant, right? Like, so people are kind of ducking for cover before speeding away yet again. So this is number 6. Then he continued through the streets. Now he was driving the wrong side of the road along the this road here. So he kind of went from the pizzeria here. He just turned and he was driving on the wrong side of the road on Embarcadero del Norte. So that's the road. There he spotted a female cyclist and shot her in the thigh. She survived, but obviously she was traumatized. Just moments later, he rolled up on a woman walking alone, and he called out casually, like from the window. He was just, "Hey, what's up?" He called out to her. She glances over. She assumes that it was just another passing car. Maybe someone wants to ask her for directions, right? But when he raised a gun, she actually thought it was a toy. Like she thought, oh, this is just a toy gun. Like, what is this guy doing? Until he pulled the trigger, and miraculously the bullets missed her because she started running. So she started running, she started screaming, the bullets missed her. Just realizing like how real this threat had been, she ran away, right? And then he continued. So he continued down the Del Paya Drive. So this is it. It's not this point that he's gonna circle back. So he continued down this road, and a sheriff's deputy spotted him. Rodger fired the first shots, prompting the officer to return fire, and he managed to only one shot as Rodger sped off again. The attack wasn't actually limited to gunfire, as I mentioned. Rodger used his car as a weapon, slamming into 2 women as he escaped the gunfire. And then he turned down this Camino del Sur road. and he shot another man, I guess here, but like he shot another man, striking, like slamming into, striking him in the forearm and buttocks. And then he turned again on the Sabato Tarde, I guess, Sabato Tarde. I'm sorry if I mispronounced it, but he turned down this road and ran over a male cyclist and 2 skateboarders. It's so out of control. Like, and we're at number 12. Mind you, like we're on number 12. There's like more. So he strikes runs over one male cyclist and 2 skateboarders, leaving like more bodies in his wake. He soon encountered 2 more men standing in a driveway. Without hesitation, he opened fire, hitting both of them multiple times, but they survived. The streets were in absolute chaos. Like this was absolute chaos. It was, I can't even describe it. Then he went back to, I believe it's like number 16, a little acorn park. Elliot saw 4 sheriff's deputies and engaged 3 of them in a shootout. And this time, Elliot was hit. He took a bullet to the hip, but he continued to drive. At around 9:35 p.m., Rodger's rampage came to an end after weaving through like several streets. He put a handgun down to his head and pulled the trigger. The car, was still in motion, and it actually hit another cyclist and it hit another car. And the cyclist like rammed into the car and crashed into the windshield, shattering the front windshield before tumbling to the ground. And Rodger's vehicle came to a stop when colliding with a parked car. Inside the crashed car, police discovered Elliot Rodger, like he actually pulled the trigger into his head, so he was dead from the self-inflicted gunshot wound. And the massacre was finally over. But he left so many bodies. He left absolute chaos behind his car, in his path. Like the whole community, it was, I can't even find a word, like beyond chaos. It was horrifying. It was pure horror. Every street had some kind of person, someone injured, someone on the street, someone unconscious. You didn't know if they were dead or they were, hit by a bullet, or if they were alive, they were dead. Blood on the street, like everything was just, people were in shock. In just under 10 minutes, and mind you, this happened in under 10 minutes. This is just 10 minutes. I think that's the most shocking part too. I mean, yeah, obviously the number of victims, but the most shocking part is the fact that it just happened in 10 minutes. So many people. In 10 minutes, he killed 6 people, injured 14 more, and managed to forever change the community, the quiet community of Isla Vista, because this community would never be the same. And yet questions remained, about the signs, the systems that failed, and the dangerous ideology that fueled everything. The incel, the internet incel communities, the manosphere. What exactly pushed him over the edge? What was it that really reinforced his beliefs that everyone else was at fault and they needed to be annihilated? Let's talk about the victims. I'm gonna go over who died and like what exactly, who they were, I think that's important. So the first victim was David Wang, originally from Tianjin, China. He was a junior majoring in computer engineering. Then there was James Hong, who came from Taipei, Taiwan. And he was also a junior in the same program. Their friend, George Chen, was born in Ottawa, Canada, and was just 19 and majoring in computer science. The violence inflicted on them was just chilling and very much calculated. His next two victims were the sorority girls, so Veronica Weiss, just 19 years old and from Seattle, Washington. She was in her first year at UCSB, and she was majoring in financial mathematics and statistics. Veronica had been a competitive swimmer in high school, and she was known for her determination and intellect, and she had such a bright future ahead of herself. Like, she wanted to continue swimming. She wanted to explore the possibilities, right? Like, oh, okay, I'm studying financial mathematics and statistics, but who knows what's gonna happen, you know? Like, I have this passion for swimming. But she didn't get to do that. And then besides her was 22 years old Catherine Katie Cooper. She was a senior from San Bernardino, California. And Katie was on the verge of completing her double major in art history and classics and archaeology. Friends described her as very kind, very thoughtful, and deeply passionate about her studies. You know, she wanted to be an archaeologist. She had so many plans, and like, her friends were like, yeah, she was so kind, and she had like a very clear path that she set for herself. But both women were struck by multiple bullets, and they did not survive. And then the final victim was 20-year-old Christopher Michaels Martinez. Chris was a sophomore studying English, and he had dreams of becoming a lawyer. That night, he was just standing near the entrance of this local convenience store, the deli, when Elliot fired that single shot that struck him in the chest. And, you know, people inside of the convenience store, they tried to help, but Chris died from his injuries like shortly afterward. Like, he didn't survive even a few minutes. So messed up. You know, they were young people with their hopes, their ambitions, their plans for the future, you know, lives ahead of them, and they were senselessly killed in a single evening within several minutes, just a few minutes from each other. And though the attacks carried out by Elliot Rodger were met with widespread horror and condemnation, as they should, in some of the darkest corners of the internet, they were actually celebrated. Yep. Internet can be just proper radioactive. That's what I'm gonna say. Let me explain. So Rodger's outburst, the massacre, brought global visibility to a growing and deeply, deeply troubled online subculture, the Incel community. And these forums, already known for like very questionable content, very nihilistic views, very concerning mindsets, they began to idolize Elliot in the aftermath of this rampage. Like, to many in those communities, in the digital space, Elliot Rodger became more than a headline. He became a symbol. There were so many videos. Every single one of them was like titled "The Supreme Gentleman," you know, like Saint Elliot, something like that, you know. They, like, online tributes sprang up, like they were pouring out, you know, homemade songs, memes, merchandise featuring his face. And some members of this community began referring to him with like reverence, like calling him Saint Elliot, or simply using his initials ER, or just the Supreme Gentleman. And each year, that's the fucked up part, each year on the anniversary of the attack, some users mark what they disturbingly call Saint Elliot's Day. Yeah. That's disgusting. I agree. What the fuck? Don't glorify that bastard. Yeah. Why in the fuck would you idolize a mass murderer? And guys, it got worse. It got worse. I wish I could tell you this is just, you know, online talk, internet comments, or some stupid videos or some stupid merchandise. I wish I could tell you that. No. It did not end there. So one of the most high-profile examples of the influence, Rodger's influence, came in April 2018 when 25-year-old Alec Manassian, he actually, I do have a video report, but Alec drove a van through a crowded Toronto sidewalk. So this is him, and he drove a van through the sidewalk, killing 11 people, 11, and injuring 15 more. So he killed more people than Elliot did. And just before the attack, Alec posted a chilling message on Facebook declaring that, quote, "The Incel rebellion has already begun," and directly praising Rodger, calling him the supreme gentleman. Yeah, it wasn't just, what Elliot did wasn't just, like, yeah, like it was one massacre, but it wasn't just one massacre. And it didn't just like spike the comments from incels. No. It led to another massacre. So this like glorification of Elliot Rodger in these online spaces, like, right, it sparked a wave of copycat threats and real world violence, because it led to this other massacre in 2018. His legacy, whatever you want to call it, legacy, whatever, fucked up legacy, you know, it was weaponized by online echo chambers. That's why it's so fucked up, like so dangerous to have all those echo chambers. And it just underscored like this critical challenge for safety online and social awareness in the 21st century. You know, like we have to be aware of the fact that some communities are just toxic. You shouldn't be hanging out in those communities constantly, because they are gonna change your worldview. They will change your mindset, like they will affect you if you only ever, like, you only look at those communities. Yeah, they can change you. Kairos says, "This is what I'm afraid of, especially now that I see a lot of male versus female type of argument online." Yeah, that's very concerning. I see it all the time. I'm afraid that this will happen again. You know what? It might. Like, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It might. Because I see it online so much. Like, now there's like this female versus male, you know, war on the internet. There's a lot. There's much more visible content that is for like incel content or just manosphere content. It's, yeah, like the kind of what's his name? Jesus, what's his name? What's the fucking the guy who's like investigated for sex trafficking now? And his Tristan something and what's his name? Tate. Yeah, Andrew Tate. I forgot about his name. But yeah, like the spike of popularity of like Andrew Tate, his brother Tristan Tate, they created, well, you know, their personality, their content that is concerning. They caused copycats to come out. I'm not saying, see, like, I do agree with freedom of speech. Yeah, sure. Crazies should speak too, you know? Yeah, it shouldn't be an echo chamber. Internet shouldn't be an echo chamber. But people also shouldn't only solely just like singularly hanging out in those spaces and consuming just that type of content. Like, see different perspectives, see different mindsets, see different opinions, you know, hear different opinions. Because it's like, yeah, if you hang out only in an echo chamber, you're gonna, yeah, it can build up resentment. It can lead to some pretty bad stuff. Critical thinking is all but extinct. Yeah, that concerns me. Honestly, that is concerning. And as for Elliot, as for the story of his actions, it's not just about like one man's descent into violence. You know, it is a mirror held up to the darker corners of our culture. This is the darker corners of the 21st century, of what we're facing right now online. It forces us to, I don't know, like confront the consequences of like unchecked loneliness, misogyny, like unchecked loneliness, and just like what kind of communities is someone hanging out at? Like, what kind of content are we consuming? I think it's not like, let's just put aside the misogyny talk, the whatever, like, but I think it's all about the echo chambers. It's all about like, oh, he was hanging out in these communities, he was consuming certain content, and it just reinforced his frustrations. It reinforced his the idea that the world, all the women were against him. The women were evil. The women were the enemy. And just, yeah, he was hanging out in these echo chambers that breed in digital space and in the corners of the internet. And what definitely begun, you know, like as this personal pain that could still be understandable. It was just loneliness, you know, frustration, inability to connect with people. That is understandable. That can still be helped. But it just mutated into something far beyond control. And yeah, and it just caused a lot of pain. That's it, you guys. I'm sorry that it was so long. I'm sorry that this case is so long, but that was a lot to cover. Yeah, what I'm gonna say is that, you guys, there's a lot of different content out there online. There are a lot of opinions. You're not gonna agree with every single opinion out there, but that's a good thing. You know, that is a good thing. If you are willing to hear opposing opinions out without, you know, lashing out, without just discrediting them immediately, if you're willing to, that's the thing about like interaction with people. You interact with people who do not have the same opinions as you. If you don't vilify them, if you just hear them out, yes, there are different people with different opinions. We're not gonna agree. Like, we're not gonna actually agree with everyone, every single person on this planet, right? But I think it's important to not just sit in a little echo chamber. I feel like a lot of people online, like forever online people, just kind of chronically online people, the worst part is that they do sit in like a little echo chamber of just one singular mindset or just certain ideas, and they don't actually go on a hunt for different opinions. I think that's also very very strange to me. And, you know, I think another thing that I find very concerning, this might not be really, like, I mean, it is related to the case, but it's also not exactly related to the case. I find it really concerning that people just sit in these echo chambers for so long that when faced with an opposing opinion, the first reaction is aggression. The first reaction is lashing out. The first reaction are insults. Right? Like, isn't it tell me you haven't seen a person like that online. A comment like that. Oh, someone disagrees. Someone posts something on Twitter that someone disagrees with. The first reaction is aggression. The first reaction is like an insult, insulting their character, especially if said person does not have a legitimate argument or, how to counter argument this particular opinion. They just go for the character of the person who posted certain opinion and they just insult them. That's the go-to strategy. Please don't do this. Yeah, pure hate. Please don't do this. Just be reasonable. Even if you disagree with a person, like, yeah, hear them out. Okay, well, I don't agree with this opinion because of XYZ. This is my take on this. And hey, if I'm not changing your mind, like, maybe we could discuss it more. Maybe there's some parts that we can agree on. Maybe there's some parts that we will never agree on. But let's not insult each other and let's not, attack each other like that, or especially in real life. That is why I don't have social media. Good. See, you're the good one. Twitter, TikTok, etc. Well, I do have Facebook, but I hardly use it. I use Facebook mainly for like contacting my family, right? Like it's more like a chat room for family and friends. But yeah, it's way more common than it should be. It is way more common than it should be. And I do see, let me say this, at least in the VTuber space, I've been seeing a lot of creators, let's say after the recent, presidential election in the States, where I saw posts from fellow creators saying, oh, if you voted for Trump, or if you voted for the other side, like Biden or Trump, or like whoever you voted, like, oh, if you voted for him, you should block me, you should never speak to me, because Trump is XYZ. And they're like, you're cutting off any possible conversation. You're cutting off any possibility of a dialogue. Like, yeah, okay, you think that he's evil, he's pure evil. Maybe he is, maybe he's not. But that's the thing, like, you're right now, I've seen so many creators just doing the same thing. They're like, oh, because he's XYZ, he's racist, he's sexist, he's something, he's a criminal. If you support him, then you should block me, and you're a bigot, you're something, and you should never speak to me, just block me, erase me, and I do not want to interact. I mean, that's your right, absolutely, but I saw people saying that about their friends, like, oh, my friend voted for him, well, we're not friends anymore. It's like, really? You're gonna throw away years of friendship? Like, I'm not, I'm not American. I didn't vote because I'm not American. I don't really have, like, maybe strong opinion about Trump. He's not my president. I know that, yeah, like, sure, decisions of the United States do affect the whole world, but would I cut off my family and friends for voting for someone I didn't vote for? No. I would love to sit down with them and, like, yeah, we can agree, we can fucking argue about it, we can scream at each other, but you know what, like, I would not want to, like, cut off a communication before it's, like, absolutely necessary. Like, yeah, sure, if my friend, long-term friend, said, like, oh, well, I agree with something specific that I think it's like, okay, well, that's fucked up, I would at least try to tell them, like, hey, but, like, I think it's fucked up because of XYZ. Like, don't you feel like it's kind of not great? Like, can we talk about it? But I really don't like the take of, well, if you voted for him or if you agree with him on certain things, then we're not friends, and you are a bigot, and insults follow and aggression follows. I'm like, wow, you just cut off any possibility of any sort of discussion. I didn't vote for him. And that's your right. Honestly, you shouldn't even be required to say who you voted for. God damn it. I know that it's maybe, like, in the States, it's, like, more perceived, like, more strongly. Like, oh, there is. Like, it's very normal to say who you voted for. I don't know. Like, I usually, like, oh, I don't really say who I vote for. Like, me. Okay, why? Like, there's so many other things that we can talk about. I gave up on Trump a long time ago. Can't believe my brother once supported him though. Yeah, and that's perfectly normal to, maybe disagreeing with someone's choice and disagreeing with politics, right? Like, disagreeing with a specific candidate. I don't agree with Trump on every single thing. Well, he's doing kind of crazy stuff. So do I feel, like, strong hatred and, would I cry that he's elected? No. Well, for one, because I'm not American, I don't live in the States. It does affect the world, sure, but, now this is what we were given, and honestly, we can hope for the best. All we can do is hope for the best. It's the idea of cutting off communication and view other perspectives as enemies. Yeah, that is bad. Yeah, that's absolutely bad. That is absolutely bad, because you know what else is an echo chamber? Of, like, absolute just echo chamber with no other opinions? China. CCP is an echo chamber of one opinion. There's no clashing opinions. There is no one to keep anyone in check there. So that's, yeah, it is that way. So, like, if we want the rest of the world to be that way, that is called communism. Or also that is called the apocalypse, pretty much. Bro, Japan is getting near that. Yeah, there's definitely... I think that it's always good to have two opposing... to have someone to criticize you. Someone needs to keep you in check, especially if it comes to politicians, especially if it comes to any area of life. There has to be something. We need to have people that have opposing opinions. We need to have people who have different opinions. We need to have someone who's gonna criticize you. Like, I need to have someone who's gonna criticize me. Yeah, like, I had comments that were criticizing my narration, my format. They don't like it. You know what? Yeah, like, maybe some of them were not very nice, but some of them did make me think, like, oh, well, I could actually, like, this is actually a good point. Maybe I could improve something. maybe I could improve this particular thing. Like, oh, maybe this thing that I thought was good, maybe it's not that good. Okay, let me check. You know, let me check this. Okay, intankun is like one thing that is not disputable. Okay, it's not. it's not up for discussion. This one I call communist. This one is just like one regime. Okay. This case reminds me of the Smiler sort of. Oh, I don't wait, Smiler? It's a roller coaster based on hypnosis and smiling advocates. Oh, see, I didn't know. But yeah, intankun, that's I'm sorry, that's a singular regime. There's no new regime. There's just one regime, my regime. Intankun is happy, okay? Is there someone to confirm? No. I'm the only one who can confirm he's happy. Freedom for Hintankun. I feel like you improve every stream. Thank you so much, you guys. I hope so. I hope so. You know, like like not every comment on my under my video is like nice. There were some not very nice comments. Yeah, there were some rude comments. Does that mean I'm gonna like block them, delete them? No, like unless it's like something fucked up that I don't allow on my channel, like something criminal, obviously then I'm gonna, okay, well, I don't want you in my space. You know, that's not great. You know, that's not very, you know, yeah, I inherently disagree with like certain things that are criminal. But yeah, I don't block people for expressing opinion about like that disagrees with my channel, or, you know, about my content not being to their liking. I actually did respond to a couple of comments where I was like, hey, I'm sorry to hear that. You know, yeah, sorry to hear that you're not liking this format, and I hope if you know, like, yeah, I'm always working to improve, but if you continue not to like it, then yeah, I hope that you find a creator. There's so many creators. I hope you find someone that you like. Yeah. I have a confession. IDK, who is Intankun. Intankun is a mythical animal in my dungeon, in my basement. He's my assistant that is currently living his best life in my basement. Thank you for all you do and your hard work, Sona. You guys, thank you for showing up to the streams. Thank you for talking in the chat, for discussing cases with me. Thank you for disagreeing with me, you know, thank you for that too. Even if we have opposing opinions, even if we have different opinions on certain topics, I feel like we can still discuss it. I feel like we can still talk about it, and we don't have to be cut off, you know? Like, yeah, okay, unless like, oh, I don't know, turns out that you have a, I don't know, you're like one of them maps, then I would be like, I'm sorry, but bye. If you are, then I'm sorry, but this is like crossing, that's yeah, what is it, like, yeah, it crosses the line for me, so no. I don't want to explain. PDF file, essentially. They describe, if you describe yourself as map, then you aren't, yeah, you're not, I would say you're not welcome in my community. That's yeah. That's it. Also, Joshua, Intankun might be trapped but his mind, the mind is free. The mind is free always. Thanks for the stream, Sona, and happy Easter. Oh yeah, happy Easter, you guys. I totally forgot. I'm sorry, I didn't paint the eggs, but I totally forgot that this weekend was Easter weekend, because yeah, I don't want to explain map. MAP. You can look it up if you want to. I don't, yeah. That's one of the things that I really inherently disagree with, and there is no way in the world that I would agree with it. It's just, there's no way in the world. And that's, yeah, that's this one thing that is just like, yeah, maybe if you agree with that, I could talk to you, but, well, I could talk to you about it, try to like convince you otherwise, but if you're not convinced and you just continue with the map thing, then I'll be like, yeah, I don't, yeah, that's that one of those things that would make me block someone. I have to say, like, that's one of the things that would make me cut someone off. I think we can all agree on that. Yeah, I think we can all agree, because it's like map, PDF file, this is the same thing. So yeah, that I do not agree with. Okay, Bacon, I still remember that one stream you covered a few mass shootings and I disagree with some of your points on gun control. Yet I'm still here. That's true, yeah, I did have a stream like that and didn't block you out and you didn't block me out. Disagreement is a part of life. Yeah, we can disagree on gun control stuff. I mean, we can disagree on this and like on many other things. And you know what, like I still appreciated it. I still appreciated the discussion and I know that you disagreed and that's okay. I don't think it was a reason to cut each other off. Like we could have, sure, we could have, but I don't think it was like that big of a deal, right? It wasn't that big of a reason to cut each other off. What did you put in the Easter egg, Sona? Matcha latte. magic matcha latte. Okay, you guys, that's it for today. Also, Shy, thank you so much. Happy Easter, happy April 20th day. If you don't celebrate Easter, then happy April 20th. There's always a good reason to wish someone a happy day. You know, there is always a good reason to wish someone a good day. So I wish you guys a wonderful rest of the day or night, wherever you are. I hope you enjoyed the stream. I hope you did, you know, learn something new. I hope I made you think about some things, rethink some things, and I do hope that all of you are gonna be responsible internet users and you guys just keep an open mind, discuss things, discuss opinions. Don't let anyone don't let anyone bully you into, you know, cutting off certain opinions or cutting off a way to discuss opinions. You know, don't let people bully you into silence. That's what I'm gonna say. That's it. Yeah, and again, like, as I say, freedom of speech does fortunately and unfortunately mean that crazies also speak. So yeah, but then we know who crazies are. If they don't speak, we don't know who the crazies are. That's it, you guys. Be the bigger person. Be the bigger person, everyone. Exactly. Just be mature. Be an adult, and you know. Don't stoop to the level of like insults or attacking someone's character because they voted for someone or they voted for, I don't know, they did someone that you disagree with. Unless, yeah, obviously, unless it's like serious crime, then you can, well, then I think it's understandable. Okay, that's it. That's it. Yeah, that's all that I had to say. I think I've exhausted the topic. Stay tuna, everyone. Stay safe out there. Always lock your doors and windows. And I will be back on Thursday. So I'm taking a longer break because I have to figure out the 3D stuff. My 3DW is approaching. The new design is approaching. I'm planning it on around like June, the second half of June. So kind of like in line with my birthday. So I'll be taking... Also, Hog, thank you so much for being a member for 7 months. Thank you so much. But yeah, stay tuned. I will be back on Thursday, so a little bit of a longer break, but I shall return. Yeah, 3D Sona. Oh, Sona, but 3D, yeah. And it's a new design. It's a brand new day. Brand new design. That's it. Stay safe out there. Always lock your doors and windows. Bear your haxes. Until the next time. Bye. Also, Joshua and Shy, thank you so much for the super hugs for everyone. And Sona, stay stay golden. Yeah, stay golden. And Shy Radio is the band, the absolute band emoji. Okay. This is a fun fact, but did you guys know that Coca-Cola and Nintendo are both older than the novel Dracula? They actually older. They were created before. And another fun fact, fossils weren't recognized as dinosaurs until the early 1800s, meaning every single person that ever lived all the way through our founding fathers had no idea that dinosaurs ever existed. So there's that. Yeah, that's crazy. All right, that's it. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!